Thank you very much for the lecture. Just a quick question. Do physicists ever feel any anxiety about the philosophical basis of their entire study? I mean, mathematics is a symbolic language. It's therefore a representation of reality. It's interesting that you're being aided here by a professor of literature. Another symbolic system, right? And so this representation is not reality. You know, it's merely the representation, right? And so, do physicists ever feel any anxiety about the fact that they're not just coming up with a very elaborate fantasy, a very, graceful and beautiful and elegant narrative, but nevertheless bound by the limitations of its symbols? The old adage is that every question carries its answer on its back, right? So, of course, the questions you can form with the limitations of your symbols are going to give you the particular narrative that, this is a narrative that you're carrying on. You're the grandchild of Parmenides, and all the pre-Socratics, goat herders, basically, in Greece. So, being Greek, I can say that. But there are other cultural narratives, that are equally engaging. The Chinese.
This is not about engaging, it's about what's brought us here.
I guess so.
Physics is brought us here.
It is the dominant symbolic narrative,
but it is what has brought us here.
Okay. but do physicists ever question this kind of essential question of where the symbols interact with reality?
I think physicists we're just simply following our noses. What we have learned is that this way of describing nature in terms of mathematics has been and continues to be unbelievably fruitful. We don't know why it works, but we know it works from long experience, 2 millennia of experience, that for some reason, that's why I call it magic that works. There's no reason why we can think of why the world has to work in a mathematical way. Why does it have to be? Why isn't the world just random and random things happen all the time? Well, they don't. The world works according to these unbelievably strict rules. We call them the laws of physics. It's kind of a bad name, because when you think of a law, you think of something as arbitrary, which somebody made up, and you can change it. You go through Parliament and re-elect the members of Parliament, and they'll change the laws. Okay, but the laws of physics are not like that. These are the most definite, immutable properties you could possibly imagine. And somehow, through mathematical thinking, we are able to work them out. And, so in the book I have all known physics in one equation. And we're very impressed with this. I mean, it's the fact that we can summarize everything we know about every single physical process in the entire universe, in one line. And it's an incredibly powerful formula. It makes predictions accurate to a part in a trillion. But
other very long equation.
Yeah, other people are not so impressed, and they say, "Why did you have to print it sideways to fit it on the page? It's not that short." But on the other hand, there is no other field of science which has anything like the ambition of that equation. That equation describes the Higgs boson, which is 1 billionth the size of an atom, and it describes the expansion of the universe on a scale of 10 trillion times the size of the solar system. And it all works, right? It's the whole shebang. There's no other field of science with anything like the scope, the accuracy, the precision, the reliability. This is truly unbelievable stuff. We don't know why it works, but it does. So I think this is not a culture. You see, when people ask questions like that, there's a tendency, and I'm sympathetic to it, we shouldn't delude ourselves through the use of symbolic systems and think they are reality. But in fact, it's the other way around, that physics is beyond culture. whether you come from Australia or Pakistan or Vietnam, Dirac's equation describes the electron. There's no discussion about that. There's no competing equation for the electron. And it's not for want of trying. Everybody's tried. But this equation is the right equation. It gives incredibly precise predictions. It's very hard to come up with anything even approaching its accuracy. And so I think what we've learned, you see, what I learned from this is the universe brings us together. Understanding the universe is something people from any culture, background, language, religious belief, whatever, anyone can do, is to understand how the world works. And what we learn is that it works according to rules which we can all understand, we all share. And so this is a powerful force for unification of cultures. Knowledge is not culture dependent. Basic knowledge is common to all cultures.